And now on the testing, a little bit, and we'll go into more depth, but these tests are only known to this company, right? The teachers, the administrators, and even the state doesn't get either before, which I can understand a little bit more, but even after, we don't know the questions, if they're valid for the curriculum that's being taught, which is, my understanding is different than in the past where the post-testing was looked through to see, you know, if there's a group in Minnesota where we score horribly on portions of the test, you were able to go back to that test and do a post-mortem on it to find out, was it the test question bad, as opposed to throwing that out going forward, where this is not, my understanding, will not be available on a state basis or even a local basis.
That's correct, and that's actually, I found that to be rather astonishing because we've had parents contact our group saying, we wanted to find out what was on our children's statewide test or what was on school-imposed tests. And we can certainly talk about the number of tests that are going on right now that maybe parents don't realize. But yeah, they wanted to see what was on the test and how, you know, and the principals basically said, we've never seen the tests. The teachers have never seen these tests. They come virtually through the computer.
They're taken differently than I was used to, where we had the Iowa test.
They take the test, but the teachers are not allowed to see the tests. And then the tests, they'll receive a test score many months later, because the scores have had to go through data collection and data mining processes. And then, but they will never know what the questions were and what the answers or how that all works, and there's absolutely no basis for improvement for teachers to know, you know, should I be changing something up in my teaching, or for the students. It helps no one.
Which, as a former teacher and somebody in the school, that's important to know if you're actually teaching, you know, what needs to be done from one standpoint, and then if we use testing as a measurement tool, and we can agree or disagree as to if it's a good or bad measurement tool, but even if then you can't measure that to find out, you know, post-mortem to correct anything that, because again, we've got teachers who are human beings, they have a limited amount of time to cover the materials. If they're putting questions on the tests that weren't even covered by most in the state, I'll use the state, we'll try to get down specifically to the state, that test question in my mind is invalid, but you're never going to determine that because you don't even know what the question is or the answers that were put up there in the multiple choice, which I would agree is not helping anybody. It's not helping the student. No. It's not helping the teachers or the administrators or the state.
Right. The entire standards movement really has taken away the credibility and the it's taken much away from teachers in the classroom. It's removed their creativity, their innovation, and
well, you know, in our district in 281, the big thing they're trying to do is to teach to individual students. And you know, and again, that's basically, but even groups where you have students, we have always had students that are higher than the average. We have ones in the middle, which is the bell curve, and then we have ones lower. So you need to do different things to those groups of students for them to get it, and it may be different inside the group. It may be mathematically that they may need more help with fractions and not adding, and vice versa. And that's why you pay teachers, in my mind, to be able to be in the classroom, to be able to tell when they need to do those things.
Right. To an extent, I think. I might be disagreeing with you a little bit.
That's okay.
On the testing. Thinking back when I was growing up, I only had standardized tests only so often.
Right.
We had a standardized test in 3rd grade, at the end of 5th grade, at the end of 8th, at the end of 10th.
Those were the Iowa tests, right?
No, it wasn't, because I was growing up in Florida at that time. But then we had a college prep test in 11th grade, which we still have. But now we have, you know, talking about what's been taken away from teachers, time for teaching, for one, because no one knows those children better in the classroom than the teachers do. Right. But now they are having to test these kids, I don't know, 15, 20 times a year, between the MCAs taken a number of times each year, and then there are several prep tests before you get to the first MCA.
Right.
And then there's a MAP test. And then, so there are statewide tests. There's also school-imposed tests, like the OLFA, the FAST. Then you have the prep test, the ACT, like the PLAN and the EXPLORE. And there are other tests, too. There's a Scantron performance test. We understand that some students are receiving mental health exams at school. There's a huge number of surveys coming in that are third-party supported. The school makes a little bit of money off of giving their children surveys. And then, of course, you have the classroom tests, which is your spelling test for Johnny on a Friday.
Right,
and
the weekly ones to find out what happened during that week.
And so students really are not being given the kind of time that they need to be able to have to explore subjects and to really explore them deeply.
Right.
It's just it's a cursory kind of thing. Now get ready and take a test.
Right.
And this is not learning. And I think across the country, mental health experts are just in an uproar because what they see is damaging to children, and it's particularly damaging to the little ones.
Right, right. And to go into that a little bit, and we'll go into it in the second one more, there is the ability in Minnesota to opt out of these standardized tests that are the MCAs, these Common Core ones when they're coming, and even the MAP tests, which again are something done by the state. The only ones you can't, as a parent, opt out of are the spelling tests and things that are much tighter tied to curriculum as opposed to standardized.
Correct.
And those are loose, and we'll get into some of the
Correct.
problems we're having in the second show with parents on this. But I wanted to bring that up, that there is some hope out there for parents is if you decide in doing your research, and I ask you very much to do research. Hopefully this starts you in that regard. On the internet, there's a lot of things with the MAC, or the Minnesotans Against Common Core. We have a lot of areas, and I'll put below here the web address for that for people to go and a couple times during the show to get resources, because unfortunately, parents, this is something that, in my opinion, is too important not to get involved in because it is our students. It's your children that are involved here, and you need to take some responsibility in what's going on and know your rights. And that's part of it too, is the effect of these on parents' rights and the data collection. I think we can talk about those two things together here. We touched a little bit on the data collection. Those things, but there's also things going beyond that. Is it 400 or 1,000 pieces of data, which are also biometric, that is also in these, that in some states are testing already, pilot testing I'll call them.
Correct.
During these tests to find out, I'm not sure if it is anxiety or what they're really trying to get, but that, in my mind, we're turning our kids into guinea pigs, which nobody, I think, that has a child wants their children to be, especially unknown. And I think these are happening without parent approval, consent, or anything.
Well, it's incredible that we're even having this conversation.
I agree.
Totally incredible, because we do have, the state has begun the state longitudinal database. They are measuring our children in every possible way. Everything that a parent writes types into the Infinite Campus parent portal. That's going into the database. Everything. Anything the child writes in class, English language type of assignments, everything, testing, all of that is data mined. And Minnesota has a $4 billion contract, I believe, over 4 years. And it is with the AIR, American Institutes of Research. Okay. And that is who we contract with for our data.
And that's a national or an international?
This is national.
Okay.
The other states that are partnering with SBAC or PARC, they do the academic data mining,
Okay.
basically. And then it goes to AIR. Everybody ends up with AIR last.
Okay, so it is a
We just
centralized
go,
database.
We just go to AIR first. We don't
Well, we
go.
cut out the middleman. Hopefully it's cheaper,
cut
right?
out the middleman. We're just not even right. And so they data mine academics, and they are truly their big thing is data mining for behavioral and emotional information. So how psychological. So they are looking at the strengths of children. Now, if you look at the United States Department of Education, their website, you can find a report called Grit, Tenacity, and Perseverance. And it is about 150 pages. It's not that long, but you can just kind of rifle through it, and it will talk about the data metrics that you're speaking of.
Okay.
Chairs that children will be sitting in. This is all Gates and Arnie Duncan.
So
this
follow
is their
the money.
desires.
Follow
Correct.
the money.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So in any case, so there's that. There are eyepieces that will be on the computers, watching children's eyes to see if they are fully engaged at all moments in the classroom. This is the United States Department of Education, and there's 1 or 2 pages that just show the various biometrics that they want to have children to wear. And of course, Gates has also stipulated that he wants all little little kids under 2 to go through
Evaluation?
evaluation. No, sorry.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
So, and again, these are already, other than being in the piece of paper and where they want to go, some of this is already in the classroom in some states. I don't know about Minnesota. if
No,
they have
it's
to-
not, certainly not in Minnesota that we are aware
of.
of.
Okay.
We know that they have the trackers in a few of the school districts, the activity trackers, which are also being used in Kansas and some other states. The kids wear activity trackers around their ankles.
Ankle bracelets now?
They're
Sorry.
basically a pedometer.
Okay.
And in some states, a GPS is embedded in the tracker, and the children are asked to wear these all week long, even on weekends when they're at home. And the whole deal is to track children, to know, how much exercise they're getting, to know where they are at all times.
Right.
And also this goes in tandem with a journal on what you eat.
So we're interested in helping our students, in air quotes,
Yeah.
to eat healthy, to exercise so we don't have, I'm assuming, obese kids out there.
Right.
And tracking, I'm sure, is for safety. So if a child gets lost or something, we can track them down and find them more quickly. Would be the guise of how we're doing it, as opposed to the data mining that might be able to be done to find out,
I'm sure this is mined as well.
Oh,
Yeah, it's all part of the
Oh,
collection.
I'm sure it has to be collected someplace, and if
Right.
AIRS is the one that this is all
Right.
going to,
Right.
or one way or the other, that yes, we'll have it on. And this is, again, you're talking about from 2 years until, I'm guessing they'll probably continue this through college and maybe into the workthrough now
Well,
that we're going to
it's
be
from the
career ready, college and career
It's
ready.
prenatal.
Oh,
They are measuring prenatal, and through the end of college, whenever that is, if you get, and then they will pick it up with the workforce whenever
yeah.
it's not called a profession anymore. It's called the workforce.
Workforce.
And yeah, right. So the state longitudinal database is actually collecting cradle to grave
Okay.
information files on all of these children. And after the data mining that we talked about with AIR, American Institutes of Research, it then goes to the federal government, where it sits with a data quality workforce data quality initiative, and
Okay.
they have their own database there. And it does specifically speak about matching up based on what has been measured and where the kids are at with the workforce. So there's a bit of interest there and reading where that might go.
Determining at an early age what everybody is career ready for, and then maybe putting them on that path for them, so to speak.
Again, I can't imagine, because we all had that opportunity to decide for ourselves what was in our heart and what we were passionate about. And it looks like that
Explore
might be
different types
taken
of-
away based on,
data.
second to 7th grade, sometime in there, it could be decided
Mm-hmm.
for kids, and they haven't even developed yet.
Right. Well, no, the way things are going, even in high school, they're not going at it and figuring out what they're going to necessarily do, and with all of the career that all of these students are going to have, different than what we had, where we may have had a couple of careers, where they're going to have 7 careers and 25 jobs because things move more quickly. So unfortunately, we're getting close to the end of time. So we have scratched the surface, people, on this subject. You will get more on the next segment. But again, please do go and find out more information, both out on our website at the one I'll have at the bottom and at the end for MAC, Minnesotans Against Common Core. And those have a lot of different data points, a lot of researches. We also have Facebook pages, and we've even broken down the Facebook pages down to county. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the second part. Thank you.